How are you guys doing? It is Saturday, September 12th, 2020. I here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and with this episode of The Elite, I'm going to take you through the regular season stats leaders of the 2019-2020 season. As of right now, the conference semifinals round is still in full swing. The Lakers are playing the Rockets right now. They're in the fourth quarter. That's about where I am right now in game 5. It looks like the Lakers are going to wrap this up. But before I get into the conference finals level, I might as well, just to put a cap on the regular season, right before they name the MVP of the season, I'm going to go through the stats leaders for at least the big stats for the individual players, just to show you how well these individual pieces did. I'm going to go top 10. And of course, I'll have some honorable mentions outside. So first, starting with the points leaders, because I know that's where you want to start. Right outside the top 10, as an honorable mention, LeBron James finished 12th in the league in points scored. He averaged 25.3 points per game this season. Right above him, and I'll say because it's a honorable mention because not many people can average more points than LeBron James in a season. Not many people have. Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls is 11th in the league, averaging 25.5 points per game. And by the way, with LeBron being the 12th, there were 12 players in the NBA that averaged at least 25 points per game this year. And and Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, and Kawhi Leonard have played the least amount of regular seasons out of all of them with 57 games. So, jumping into the top 10, Anthony Davis was number 10 in the league. He averaged 26.1 points per game for the Los Angeles Lakers. And ninth, Devin Booker, the elite shooting guard for the Phoenix Suns, averaged 26.6 points per game. For number 8, Kawhi Leonard, the GOAT level shooting or a small forward from the Los Angeles Clippers, averaged 27.1 points per game in 57 games. In 7th, Russell Westbrook, the elite point guard from the Houston Rockets, averaged 27.2 points per game. In 6th, Luka Doncic, the elite shooting guard from the Dallas Mavericks, averaged 28.8 points per game in his second season in the league. Very impressive. Now jumping into the top 5 scorers of the 2019-20 season. In 5th, the reigning MVP and now defensive player of the 2020 season, Giannis Antetokounmpo, would average 29.5 points per game in 63 games in a campaign that may see him winning back-to-back MVPs. In 4th place, ahead of the reigning NBA MVP, is Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks, their elite point guard, who averaged 29.6 points per game, 4th in the league in points per game in his second year in the league. More points per game than Luka Doncic and one less game played. And in 3rd place, there were 3 30-point scorers in the league this year. Damian Lillard was 3rd in the league in scoring. He averaged 30 points per game this year in 66 games played. He was also named the Bubble MVP as the Blazers ended up losing in 5 to the Los Angeles Lakers. The second highest scorer in the league was Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards, who wasn't even named to an All-Star game as he averaged 30.5 points per game in 57 games played. And the league's leading scorer in the NBA was James Harden, Houston's elite shooting guard who would go on to lead the league with 34.3 points per game in 68 minutes played. Right now, I'm going to jump out to rebounds very quickly. Staying in the top 10 because there were only 10 double-digit rebounders on the season, and all of them averaged a double-double for the season. So, of course, that's an amazing season for them to do. The highest single-digit rebounder this year in 11th was Derek Favors, the center for the New Orleans Pelicans, who averaged 9.8 rebounds to go along with 9 points per game this year. But starting with number 10, DeAndre Jordan, the center for the Brooklyn Nets, would go on to average 10 rebounds per game in 22 minutes played in 56 games for the Brooklyn Nets. He averaged 10 points along with 8.3 rebounds. He's the only player in the top 10 that isn't averaging double-digit points. In 9th place, Tristan Thompson, the center for the Cleveland Cavaliers, would average 10.1 rebounds to go with his 12 points per game. In 8th place, Bam Adebayo, the power forward from the Miami Heat, who I believe is now in his 3rd season He would go on to average 10.2 points per game, along with his 15.9 points and 33.6 minutes played in his first All-Star season of his career, and he's starting to put it all together. In seventh, it is the center from the Orlando Magic, Nikola Vucevic, who would average 10.9 rebounds per game on the season and 32.2 minutes played, along with his 19.6 points per game. The second highest points per game out of the players in the top 10 in rebounds. In sixth place, it is Jonas Valanciunas, the center for the Memphis Grizzlies, who averaged 11.3 rebounds per game and 26 minutes per game this season in 70 games played for the Memphis Grizzlies. Now jumping to the top five, and for number five, Domantas Sabonis, the power forward for the Indiana Pacers, would average 12.4 rebounds along with his 18.5 points per game, as he was named to his first All-Star game this season as well. In fourth in all of basketball, before Giannis, it was the player who won the NBA Defensive Player of the Year the 2 years prior, Rudy Gobert. He averaged 13.5 rebounds along with his 15 points and 34 minutes played for the Utah Jazz. And in third, also with 13.5 rebounds per game, is Hassan Whiteside, the center for the Portland Trailblazers, who would also average 15.5 points per game. In second place in the league in rebounds, it's reigning 2019, 18-19 NBA MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who would average 13.6 rebounds per game, along with his 29.5 points per game, which was fifth in the league. So I mean, he's already a top five scorer and a top five rebounder in basketball this year. And the number one rebounder in all of basketball was Andre Drummond, the center who started in Cleveland and who started in Detroit, is now in Cleveland. In 33 minutes, he would average 15.2 rebounds along with his 17 rebounds. And with this, he held the crown this year for 2019-20 for the best rebounder in the NBA in terms of rebounds per game. Now jumping out to the assist leaders, starting out with number 10, because as in this league there were 14 players that averaged over 7 assists a game. Tied at 7, you have Lonzo Ball, elite center Nikola Jokic, elite point guard Russell Westbrook, and then Indiana point guard Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon has 7.1, but Russell Westbrook, Nikola Jokic, and Lonzo Ball all average 7 assists a game. Starting at number 10 is elite point guard Ja Morant out of Memphis. He went on to average 7.3 rebounds along with his 17.8 points in a Rookie of the Year campaign. A really impressive game for him, considering only 9 players in the league averaged more assists than him, and they were all older than he was. In ninth place, it is Kyle Lowry, the point guard from Toronto, who averaged 7.5 assists along with his 19.4 points. That saw the defending champs make it all the way up to where they are now. Good performance from him, and he also made another All-Star game for the Toronto Raptors this season. In eighth place, it was Devontae Graham, the point guard for the Charlotte Hornets, who also averaged 7.5 assists, and he would do so alongside his 18.2 points per game. In seventh place, it is James Harden, the elite shooting guard from the Houston Rockets, who would average 7.5 assists as well with his 34.3 NBA leading points per game, by the way. So that's something to look out for. In sixth place, it was elite point guard Ben Simmons from Philadelphia, who would average 8 assists along with his 16.4 points and 7.8 rebounds. Great season for him. Moving into the top 5, Damian Lillard would also average 8 assists per game in 66 games played, along with his 30 points. He's the only player this season to average. He was the only player this season to average 30 points and 8 assists this year. And, of course, it showed in his bubble MVP. And this might go down as Damian Lillard's best season to date. I think so. In fourth place, Ricky Rubio from the Phoenix Suns averaged 8.8 assists along with his 13 points to help the Suns almost make the playoffs. In third place, it was second-year elite shooting guard Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks, who would go on to average 8.8 assists along with his 9.4 rebounds and his 28.8 points on the season top 10 in the league in both points and assists, a very rare feat that you can see. But the player right above him, and who was second in the league in assists per game, was able to finish in the top 4 in points and assists per game this year. It was Trae Young, the elite point guard from the Atlanta Hawks, who in addition to his 29.6 points per game in his second year in the league, despite being 6'1", would go on to average 9.3 assists in his, like I said, in his second year in the league. And of course, the assist crown, probably the most impressive feat that I'll list today, went to the GOAT level small forward, possibly the greatest basketball player to ever touch a basketball, LeBron James, in his 17th season in the NBA. In 67 games played, would average 10.2 assists along with his 25 points per game. This is the first time he's ever led the league in assists, and of course, he's doing so in amazing fashion, leading the Lakers to the best record in the West. And as of right now, they're the only one seed that, out of the 2 1 seeds in the playoffs, they're the only one that's still standing. So those are the 3 main stats as of right now so far. For the season, James Harden had the points crown, Andre Drummond at the rebounds crown, and the assist crown went to LeBron James. Now jumping out to steals, just to show you who's doing that well on the defensive side of the ball. Just taking you through the top 10. Tied for 10th, averaging 1.6 steals on the season. It will be Robert Covington, who is now a power forward for the Houston Rockets. Russell Westbrook, who is an elite point guard for the Houston Rockets. Drew Holiday, who is a shooting guard for the New Orleans Pelicans. And Chris Paul, the elite point guard from the Oklahoma City Thunder. They all average over 1.5 steals a game. They average 1.6. Tied for 8th with 1.7 steals, it was Marcus Smart from the Boston Celtics and DeJounte Murray of the San Antonio Spurs. And then starting from 5 down, James Harden, the elite shooting guard from the Houston Rockets, who's been kind of shamed for not putting forth a defensive effort. Kawhi Leonard, the GOAT level small forward from the Los Angeles Clippers, who's widely regarded by many as one of the best two-way players in the game, and Jimmy Butler, the small forward for the Miami Heat, who are currently in the Eastern Conference Finals, who's also regarded as one of the NBA's best two-way players. James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Jimmy Butler are all tied for 5th in the league are averaging 1.8 steals per game. It's just wild that Harden's name is in the same conversation. He rarely gets noticed, so I'm going to give Harden a little bit of credit for that. Fred VanVleet and Andre Drummond would go on to average 1.9 steals per game as they're both tied for 3rd in the league in steals. Chris Dunn, point guard from the Chicago Bulls, would finish 2nd in the league in steals per game, averaging 2 steals per game. And Ben Simmons from the Philadelphia 76ers, their elite point guard, would lead the league in steals as he earned the steals crown to go along with his 16 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 8 assists on the season. Yet another elite season from him. Looking at the block leaders from this season, starting with number 10, because there have only been 10 players in basketball that have averaged over 1.5 blocks per game. At number 10, LaMarcus Aldridge, the power forward from the San Antonio Spurs, Andre Drummond, who played for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons, and Jaren Jackson of the Memphis Grizzlies all finished the season averaging 1.6 blocks per game. 7 players in the league this year would average over 2 blocks a game. Kristaps Porzingis from the Dallas Mavericks, Rudy Gobert, the elite center from Utah, and Mitchell Robinson from the New York Knicks would all average 2 blocks a game this season. Miles Turner from Indiana would average 2.1 to finish 4th in the league. Anthony Davis, the elite power forward from the Los Angeles Lakers, would be the highest placing elite player on here. He finished with 2.3 blocks per game this year. Brook Lopez from the Milwaukee Bucks would finish 2nd in the league in blocks per game, averaging 2.4 in 68 games. And the blocks title will go to Hassan Whiteside of the Portland Trail Blazers, who averaged 2.9 blocks in 30 minutes played. Incredible season from all the players I just mentioned. Right now, looking at the field goal percentage crown, taking you to the top 5, because there were only 5 players in the league that shot over 60% from the field. Brandon Clark shot 61.8% from the field. Hassan White shot 62.1% from the field. Jared Allen from Brooklyn shot 64.9% from the field. Rudy Gobert, the elite center from Utah, would finish shooting 69.3% from the field. And the highest field goal percentage of the season would go to Mitchell Robinson, who shot 74.2% from the field, jumping out to the 3-point leaders so far. There have only been 5 players that have shot over 42% from three. Doug McDermott from Indiana would shoot 43.5% from the line for the year. Duncan Robinson from Miami would shoot 44.6%. Seth Curry from Dallas would shoot 45% from three. JJ Redick in New Orleans would shoot 45.3% from three. And George Hill from Milwaukee would lead the league in 3-point percentages. He shot 46% from three on the season. And then last but not least, looking out to the free throw shooters, there were only 5 90% free throw shooters on the year. And so far, starting at number 5, Bojan Bogdanovic from the Utah Jazz would shoot 90.3% from the field. He would shoot 40% from three. He was one of 2 players who shot 40% from three and 90% from the free throw line. He shot 44% from the field overall. Chris Paul would also shoot 90% from the field, Oklahoma City's elite point guard, as he shot he made 90.7% of his free throws. Chris Middleton, the small forward from Milwaukee, would be the other player who would shoot 40%, he would be the other player that would shoot 40% from three. He shot 41.5% from three and 91.6% from the line, along with his 49.7% from the field, as he was just inches away from being a 50-40-90 player, and an amazing season for Chris Middleton. Devin Booker, the elite shooting guard from Phoenix, would shoot 91.9% from the line as he finishes the runner-up. And Brad Wanamaker, the point guard for the Boston Celtics, holds the free throw crown as he shot 92.6% from the free throw line on the season. And then last but not least, because I am on ESPN, I'm going to take you through the player efficiency rating leaders for the year. As of right now, I'll take you through the top 10, because these are the top 10 players that have proven really, really effective to their teams, no matter what, with all they've been doing. Right now, the honorable mention at number 11 was Jimmy Butler out of Miami, who had a 23.61 player efficiency rating. At number 10, it is the elite point guard out of Atlanta, Trae Young, who would have a 23.95 PER in his very second year in the league, his first year as an all-star, and of course in a year, like I said earlier, where he would finish in the top 4 in points per game and assists per game. No matter what, even if he is on the Hawks, if you're 6'1" and doing that, you're elite. At number 9, it was the elite center from the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, with a 24.97 PER on the season. In 8th place, it would be Hassan Whiteside, the NBA's block leader, who would finish in the top 10 in rebounds. He finished with a 25.07 PER in 30 minutes played. He averaged the least amount of minutes out of all of the players on here. In 7th place, it is the GOAT level small forward and quite possibly the greatest player to play basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James. He would have a 25.55 PER, finishing 7th on the season. In 6th place, it would be Kawhi Leonard with a 26.91, right above him, the GOAT level small forward for the Los Angeles Clippers. Moving into the top 5, Damian Lillard, the point guard for the Portland Trailblazers, the only player in the NBA who averaged 30 points and 8 assists per game this season. He'd finish with a 26.95 PER in the season. In 4th place, it would be Anthony Davis, the elite power forward of the Los Angeles Lakers, with a 27.50. Luka Doncic would finish 3rd in his second season. He would finish 3rd in the league in PER with a 27.65 PER in his season, where he would lead the Dallas Mavericks to a very, very solid, well-fought series against the Clippers. But of course, injuries and ejections would lead to the Mavericks going out a lot easier than they could have gone out. James Harden, reigning MVP, would finish the runner-up in the player efficiency rating. And of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the reigning 2019 NBA MVP, is the only player with a PER over 30 with a 31.94 PER on the season. I'm not really going to go into the advanced statistics, but that's everything I feel like that's really vital to know as of right now in terms of what went down with the 2019-2020 season. Once again, I thank you for hearing all 19 minutes of this piece. It is Saturday, September 12th, 2020. I'm James Sims. This is The Elite, and Once again, I hope all is well. Peace out.